He sits quietly on the edge of the playground, not because he feels isolated, but because something significant is unfolding deep within him. Around him, the playground moves with constant motion. Swings drift slowly back and forth, rhythmic and dreamlike, as though suspended in a distant orbit. Voices rise, collide, and fall away, a steady hum of activity. Yet amidst all the noise, he remains still, carefully listening, not to prepare a reply, but simply to understand, to absorb the hidden meaning beneath the surface. Inside this gentle quietness, he holds an entire world unknown to those who pass by quickly, judging silence as emptiness or disconnection. His inner landscape is rich, layered with subtle observations, careful rituals, quiet experiments, and deep, thoughtful questions no one has ever thought to ask him. The world often mistakes quietness for absence, equating value with loudness, the immediacy of response, or the visible energy someone projects. Yet he knows silence is not a void. It is depth, thoughtfully cultivated and patiently maintained. From the outside, his silence may seem like distance or detachment. From within, however, it feels completely different. It is intimacy with oneself, a mindful nurturing of inner clarity, and a safe haven for exploration. This fundamental difference between how silence appears to others and how it genuinely feels within is the root of the misunderstanding that surrounds quietness itself. Perhaps in the quiet ones among us, we overlook something vital. What we perceive as withdrawal might actually be the truest expression of presence. Could it be then that our inability to recognize the meaning hidden within silence is precisely what keeps us from truly understanding ourselves? Why does a child embrace silence as their refuge? At first glance, we might call it temperament, a natural preference born from a sensitive nervous system craving serenity over stimulation. For these children, quiet spaces feel soothing, gentle sanctuaries amid life's loudness. But silence can also emerge from deeper origins as a psychological shield forged in childhood homes, where expression invited criticism or emotion was dismissed as inconvenient. In such environments, children quickly learn that invisibility is safety, silence a subtle form of self-protection. Yet beneath these explanations lies a more intricate truth. The quiet child embodies a paradox. Deeply attuned to others, yet cautious in social interactions shaped by society's louder demands. They become intuitive observers, skilled in sensing the slightest shifts around them. While peers race toward recognition, these quiet ones watch carefully, noticing the subtle wound of rejection or the gentle fading of a teacher's smile when someone answers incorrectly. Each observation becomes a stone carefully placed in their inner landscape, a quiet archive of human nuance and hidden meaning. Imagine a child who sees a classmate hesitate, voice shaking slightly before falling silent. In that instant, he senses their loneliness, tucking away the moment like a precious stone he will later shape into empathy or art. This silent gathering becomes the core of their creativity, like stones polished into treasures of poetry, art, or discovery. Yet this delicate silence lives precariously in a world that worships volume and instant responses. Quiet children often internalize a subtle yet destructive message. Only those who speak loudly are worthy of love. To cope, some begin masking, performing outwardly the extroverted pattern society praises, though at great cost to their authentic selves. Others retreat further inward, convinced the world will never pause to truly see them. Can true healing occur until we recognize that silence isn't emptiness, but the quiet resilience of a soul waiting patiently to be understood? There is a subtle morality hidden within the quiet child's existence. Their silence is frequently mistaken for obedience, compliance, or gentleness. Adults breathe easier, relieved by the apparent ease the quiet child provides. Yet ease can be deceptive. It does not equate to genuine nurture. Often, attention within families or classrooms is allocated by the intensity of demands rather than the depth of need. The child who cries loudly receives immediate attention, while the quiet one waits patiently in silence, accumulating unnoticed disappointments like small wounds invisibly etched into their emotional core. Slowly, this prolonged waiting creates an internal calculus of diminishing expectations. Quiet children learn unconsciously to want less, ask for less, and silently accept that their needs are secondary, optional, even unnecessary. Here, silence begins its inward spiral, becoming both sanctuary and prison. As a sanctuary, silence provides space for introspection, self-understanding, and gentle observation. As a prison, it binds them to an identity of invisibility. Silence morphs into self-erasure, transforming their voice from an authentic expression into a potential risk. Consider the quiet child rehearsing words endlessly within their mind, carefully sculpting sentences they ultimately never dare speak. They become experts in preemptive apologies. "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt," spoken softly even before they've begun. These apologies form an unconscious armor, born from the belief that their presence imposes upon others. Over time, apology itself solidifies into an identity, survival through diminishing the self. Yet paradoxically, there is a hidden power within their selective speech. When quiet individuals do speak, their words carry uncommon gravity, like rare coins exchanged sparingly. Others notice these rare utterances precisely because they are scarce. However, being noticed does not guarantee genuine understanding. The quiet child's language, symbolic, metaphorical, carefully considered, often fails to align with modern conversation, which privileges quick retorts and instant gratification. As a result, the quiet child adapts, compressing their profound insights into smaller, simpler forms. They speed their thoughts to match the rapid rhythms of social interaction, losing nuance in the translation. This forced acceleration creates tension within, an emotional friction that slowly wears away at the self. Their rich internal universe shrinks, constrained by external expectations. What if we reimagine silence not as an issue to overcome, but as a unique quality deserving of reverence? Silence isn't passivity, it's intentional patience. It suspends premature judgments, allowing complexities to slowly unfold. Imagine social interactions designed intentionally to honor reflective thought. Meetings beginning with deliberate quiet, allowing contemplative mind space to contribute authentically. Yet society rarely accommodates such rhythms. Our institutions, schools, offices, social media platforms favor immediacy over depth, forcing the quiet child into environments inherently mismatched to their nature. Thus, another dimension of pain emerges: self-criticism. Internalizing the world's message, the quiet child becomes their own harshest judge, interpreting their reflective nature as a defect, their introspection as inadequacy. In adolescence, as identity increasingly becomes defined through visible markers, followers, likes, validation, the quiet teen often perceives their interior world as a disadvantage. They long silently to be noticed, aching for genuine recognition beyond superficial visibility. Within their silence lies an unspoken plea. You might see me, but do you truly know what you're seeing? Sometimes this leads to adulthood, where invisibility becomes habit, where quiet individuals instinctively choose supporting roles, hiding ambition beneath humility, not because they lack talent, but because they were never taught how to occupy space confidently. Yet occasionally, silence nurtures profound leadership. Leaders who listen deeply, who value subtlety, and deliberately create space for others to flourish. Their silence, once misunderstood, becomes a profound strength, offering insight born of patient observation. But how do we care for these quiet souls? It begins by validating their silence without pressuring them to perform loudly. It involves waiting patiently for their considered responses, asking thoughtful questions that invite exploration rather than requiring immediate answers, offering roles that honor contemplation over spectacle, observers, curators, recorders of subtle group dynamics, validates their natural gifts while allowing meaningful participation. Importantly, quiet children need gentle translation skills, not forced extroversion, but practical tools enabling their rich internal landscapes to be shared when necessary. Small rehearsals, scripts for starting conversations, or simply empowering them to comfortably express, "I'm reflecting, give me a moment," can revolutionize their social experience. This quiet request, those simple words, could transform cultural attitudes towards silence itself. In a society often mistaking speed for intelligence, quietness becomes a philosophical correction, reminding us listening is not passive and speech is not necessarily insight. The quiet child's presence invites deeper reflection. What does genuine presence mean, absent dominance? How can we reimagine our communities to honor depth over drama? Nevertheless, the quiet child remains vulnerable. Frequently overlooked, undervalued, or dismissed as passive, they risk internalizing beliefs that their voice lacks necessity. Without conscious intervention, the narrative of invisibility can shape their entire lives. Yet at the boundary of their silence exists a quiet revolution, a powerful potential waiting patiently to reshape how we understand value, voice, and visibility. What if classrooms, workplaces, and families embrace silence not merely as absence, but as profound presence deserving careful cultivation? What if the quiet thinker was invited first precisely because their careful thought holds unique wisdom? These are not abstract ideas. They carry the weight of real lives and untold destinies. The child quietly watching beneath the tree, carefully listening for meaning amid the playground's chaos, can grow into an adult whose silence is recognized as strength rather than deficiency. They can learn gently to assert their presence, communicate without losing authenticity, and connect meaningfully without compromising who they fundamentally are. Yet hidden beneath this potential lies a quiet ache, the persistent experience of being underestimated, unnoticed, forgotten. Their ideas overlooked until echoed loudly by others. Their presence both seen and unseen simultaneously, a paradoxical invisibility. Within this invisibility lies a fragile freedom. They may observe deeply, exist authentically, without constantly performing. Still, this freedom can isolate. Silence may be misread as disinterest or arrogance, boundaries misunderstood as walls. The quiet child yearns for connection, longing silently for someone capable of bridging the vast distance between their inner world and outer reality. Thus, silence becomes either profound creativity or self-erasure, depending upon whether it originates in choice or fear. If repeatedly dismissed, the quiet child risks believing their voice unnecessary. Silence then conceals not only their words, but vital pieces of their very self. Here emerges our ultimate question, reflecting deeply into the heart of silence itself. What if the true purpose isn't to teach quiet children to become louder, but rather to teach the world how to listen deeply until silence itself is finally understood? Quietness is never about becoming less. It is always about becoming more. More attuned, more reflective, more intentional. The quiet child need not raise their voice to leave a lasting mark, nor must they seize the spotlight to effect meaningful change. True strength does not reside in volume, but in depth, in the quiet integrity of presence. Perhaps this is the hidden gift of quiet souls. As the world rushes into reaction, they patiently cultivate understanding. As others speak hastily to mask discomfort, they carefully choose words that hold authentic weight. Amidst a world overwhelmed by noise, the one who masters stillness becomes the clearest seer, one who discerns the truths others overlook. The quiet child isn't merely observing life, they are gently studying its intricacies. Quietly, they gather wisdom until the right moment arrives, and their voice, clear, profound, and resonant, emerges naturally from silence. In that moment, the world recognizes the depth it previously missed, wishing it had paused to listen sooner. If you find yourself resonating with the quiet heart, remember this: your silence is your strength, your introspection a sacred gift. Embrace your quietness not as a limitation, but as an invitation to heal, discover, and reconnect deeply with yourself and the world. If this message speaks to you, please subscribe and explore more videos on our channel, a gentle place where silence finds its voice and quiet hearts find understanding.